welcome to Cincinnati.com Sports Beyond the Stripes with Paul Daugherty, presented by JosephAuto.com. I'm Paul Daugherty Jr. We are here live at the Moerlein Lager House tonight. It is packed in here tonight. They are packing them in because we have a special guest with us, Bengals running back number 25, Giovani Bernard, in the house. We will get to Gio a little later. First, you have to suffer through us talking, so I will introduce my cast of friends here. Doc, we established a few weeks ago we are friends.
Yeah, we're growing into that role.
So that's good. I feel good about that.
We can fake it on television.
Paul Daugherty here with us, 25 years in the business. We saw a copy of your book from way back in the day. You were a very young man when you wrote that.
Be careful.
You're not young anymore, though.
Thanks for that. I got more hair than you, brother.
That's true. That's fair. Touche on that one. Let's move over. Lindsay Patterson also with us. Lindsay, how are we doing?
I'm doing pretty good today. Better than Sunday night.
Yes, Sunday night was not the best night for most Bengals fans. You have been fielding calls from the fan base the last 2 days as a producer over across the river there, or down the highway a little bit. The fan reaction has not been super.
No, they do know the season hasn't ended yet, and there's still a chance for the playoffs. So I think they're feeling a little bit low.
It's not completely out of control. Joe Reedy, of course, always fielding questions on Twitter, trying not to block people, but usually failing. Joe, how's life on the Twitters today?
They're still on the ledge, Paul, let's face it. They're going to be on the ledge until Sunday, and they may still be on the ledge depending what else happens on Sunday, too.
And I want to get right to that because everybody wants to know from you, and I'm sure that you have fielded upwards of 50 to 100 questions about the playoff picture at this point. So you tell everyone to watch the first 3 minutes of Beyond the Stripes if you want to know the playoff picture, because you are going to feed it to us right now. What is the playoff picture and playoff scenarios for this team with 2 weeks left?
Okay, simplest thing. Bengals win and Miami loses, playoff spots clinched. Bengals win, Ravens lose, division's clinched. They could be anywhere from the 1st to 4th seed or the 6th seed or completely out of the playoffs. That's how wide open it is. Cannot be the 5th seed. They're the 3rd seed right now. Can be the number 2 if they win out and New England loses one of 2. Or they could be the 4th seed, depending on what happens also. A lot of wide open options. We go through each option on the blog, posted it about an hour ago. Easy to explain, concise, and we will have a quiz on it sometime Friday.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody is going to be right there reading all your very concise blogs at Cincinnati.com. But here's the thing. Does any of it matter, Doc? I know you're going to be of the contention probably that you don't even care at this point.
Just tell me where I'm supposed to go. My head explodes with this stuff, man. Joe said it all, and I've already forgotten it. You know,
but
the
most
Bengals
of the stuff I say, Doc, you forget.
No, well, this I really forget. I mean, the Bengals have the best attitude, the only attitude you can have, which is just win the games.
But that's the question, and I guess one I'll pose to our beloved panel here: should you be worried about this team with now the possibility hanging out there of not making the playoffs? Are you concerned about that option, Lindsay?
You know, I'm not at the moment. I feel really good about this team, some say, and some believe. You know, they're undefeated at home. I'm feeling pretty good about the last 2 games. At the same time, it's, you know, the questions are, who do you root for? What do you want to happen on Sunday? And I think you want to secure that division on Sunday. I don't think you want to wait till week 17 to decide, are you going to get the number 2 seed? Or are you going to win the division? What's going to happen? I think on Sunday, you want to know pretty much that you have that division under your belt.
Unfortunately, there's a history around here where everybody waits for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah.
And I think there is that feeling right now. We all remember 2006. Loss in a primetime game, fluke loss at Denver, and then the loss here against Pittsburgh. Nobody hopes that repeats itself, but until they clinch the spot, it's still within the realm of possibility. They're 6-0 at home. They've got a good shot to beat Minnesota. It could come down to Baltimore, but let's face it. You look at Baltimore, hand it to them. They got the win last night against Detroit, but they didn't score any offensive touchdowns. that defense is playing well, but these last 2 games at home, you got to feel confident. But until there is an X by their name saying something's clinched, there's going to be that feeling. Look at the past couple years around here, because I heard Mo say there were a couple feelings. Reds up 2-0 in that Game 3 against the Giants last year. Everybody was feeling that other shoe to drop. And until you get it done, there's going to be that feeling.
Yes, welcome to our fine city. You're familiar with that feeling, Doc. You've been writing about that feeling for 25 years.
Yeah, I have. But I think in this case, everybody needs to take a deep breath, okay? This is the NFL. Every team plays bad games. Good teams play bad games. What are they saying in New Orleans right about now? Are they really all that worried? How could we go to St. Louis and lose by 11? My God, is there anybody in Dallas who hasn't considered a ledge off a tall building in the last few days? Come on, it's the NFL. That's what happens in the NFL. It is a bad game. The Bengals have played 2 bad games all year. The first one was in Cleveland. The second one was Sunday night. What it means is they got beat by a team that's gotten better as the year's gone along because they've gotten some pieces back that they didn't have. Ben Roethlisberger is getting along better with his offensive coordinator. They're playing at home. You know, can we please allow for the fact that occasionally teams win because they're better that night, not because they're tougher than the Bengals, not because they're men and they stole the Bengals' lunch money yet again. No, this is a different team. I mean, I could be totally wrong. They could go out there on Sunday and be terrible against Minnesota. I don't think so. I think this team has the ability to forget, which is a skill you need in this league because of the way this thing goes week to week.
Yeah, exactly what you talked about, Joe. You mentioned 2006. This locker room, when we had Marvin Lewis right here in that chair, informed you exactly why this team is different. Because of the character inside of that locker room, there are different types of guys. Like you said, they can have the ability to forget. They have the ability to go out there and play great the next week. Consistency. In the NFL, let's look at the entire AFC playoff picture. Denver lays an egg on Thursday against San Diego. New England loses against Miami. They've survived miracles 3 straight weeks. Indy's been in a spiral. It's not like one game is out of the ordinary or that all of a sudden, the AFC is unattainable because of one game in Pittsburgh. The telling thing is, though, the pressure now does ratchet up. Baltimore has now turned the heat up a little bit on these last 2 games, and the question will be, how will this team respond with the heat ratcheted up on them?
No, I agree with that too. You go into this game, you're coming off that loss, like a game where you could say 14 points on the special team miscues, the hit on Huber, you could say a lot of things messed up in that game, and that game would have been a totally different game if Steelers don't get off to that 21-0 start. You're undefeated at home. You need to win that game on Sunday. It is a different team. It's a different team. They proved all season they're different from the old Bengals teams. And
they have a new thing to deal with now. Kevin Huber placed on IR today with the fractured jaw, cracked vertebrae. Sean Powell has been signed. He was a guy that was with the Bills last year, and then also at the beginning of this year was cut after Cleveland's Travis Benjamin went off for 279 yards on him. Joe, I guess the question is, the repercussions of this, do you think there'll be repercussions in how the Bengals play, how Marvin Lewis coaches and manages the game, maybe more aggressive when you have a punter that you're not as comfortable with?
Maybe a little bit, but I think we saw last year when Mike Nugent went out, Josh Brown played well. Special Teams Player of the Month in December. So a specialist can come in and be effective. Now with Sean Powell, there are some concerns because he struggled in Buffalo, and he's got a low net. Does that change things with the coverage teams, which, let's face it, coming off a week where they gave up a punt return touchdown. So how much does that change things in trying to get used to it?
Yep. Well, we also have plenty more because Doc, myself, Joe Rudy, we're in the locker room after the Pittsburgh game, a very confident, nearly almost defiant locker room. But here's a little bit of clips from some of the things we gathered in the locker room on Sunday night.
I was sitting down and it's
All right, well, here's the deal. I mean, you know the situation. 2 games, got to win them both. And a huge player in this team being able to win them both is in the house list tonight. So let's give ourselves a chance. We're going to go to break real quick. Before, we're going to bring out Giovani Bernard. Let's hear it for Giovani Bernard being here with us. So we'll get right to Giovani after this break here on Cincinnati.com Sports Beyond the Stripes, presented by JosephAuto.com.
Do not, I repeat, do not buy a 2013 Chevy from another dealer. Not when you can get a 2014 from Joseph Chevrolet for the same price or less. Seriously, Joseph Chevrolet's 2014s are a better deal than anyone else's 2013s. $129 a month for a new Cruise? Up to $6,500 off a 2014 Silverado? Now that's a clearance sale. Don't pay more for a 2013 than a 2014. Come to Joseph Chevrolet now.
Uncle Ray.
Where should we go to eat tonight?
How are the Reds doing?
What time does the movie start?
Did you hear about the new Bengals
Check
player?
out this photo gallery.
Did you check out the bands coming to the
Did you
store?
see that?
Great. I missed the story.
She wore what?
If you don't read The Inquirer at Cincinnati.com, you're missing out on what everyone's talking about. Breaking news, the best local events calendar, and in-depth stories. Updated all day long. Subscribe now at Cincinnati.com/subscribe. The Inquirer at Cincinnati.com. It's what everyone's talking about.
All right, welcome back to Cincinnati.com Sports Beyond the Stripes of Paul Daugherty, presented by JosephAuto.com. We're still here live at the Moerlein Lager House, and Giovani Bernard has joined us at the desk here. Many fans out to hang out. Gio, thank you for joining us up here. As we do, when our players join us in the desk, we go to Twitter. We promise, not in a bad way. But we have a few Twitter questions. So what are the Twitters saying, Lindsay?
A lot of questions for Giovani. We got
Hopefully
a popular
none about
one.
the van. Hopefully it's none about the van.
No van questions.
No, I will skip that one. It was definitely popular. Ryan wants to know, do you have any bets going on in the locker room about the Belk Bowl game coming up?
Yeah, I do have a bet with one of our trainers who was a trainer at UC for a period of time. And if I win the bet, so if North Carolina wins, he'll have to wear football cleats, helmet, shoulder pads, the whole 9 yards while he's taping guys throughout the entire day. But if he wins and UC wins, which hopefully it doesn't happen, I'll have to wear like khakis, like a fanny pack, like just a whole trainer kind of look. And for people that are around the locker room, kind of know how a trainer looks, so I'll have to do that.
Not too bad.
The people took you the van thing. It was like became this phenomenon with you, but really, I think that's changed. The season's gone along, and now the new phenomenon was the Miami touchdown run. How many times have you watched that run?
Honestly, I probably watched it like twice. A couple of times when I watch film by myself, and then once we watch it as a running back meeting. But other than that, I mean, what I usually do as a running back, you kind of go off of instincts. You're really running for your life. You're kind of playing two in touch. Just don't let anybody else touch you. So I try to do that when I'm playing. And I mean, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But
where's that rank though? All-time favorite runs for you? Is that rank pretty high up there?
I never really thought about my favorite runs. I mean, it was a long run, that's for sure. I felt like I was about to die after. But we're playing in South Florida. The humidity is insane down there, so I definitely need an oxygen tank after that one. But it was a fun run, a cool run.
We stood up here for the first segment and pontificated about the meaning of that game the other night. I'm interested in the meaning from the guys who actually played it. What impact has that game had on the locker room?
Well, we haven't really gotten together because on Monday we're around each other for a brief period of time, but everybody knows the significance of that game and what we have to do here on out. It's something that obviously we have to win out to have that home division, just the whole 9 yards. But for us, we just know we have to do what we have to do and just keep winning, and hopefully everything else will take care of itself.
So the loss the other night and the way you lost, is it a notion that what's done is done? We can't change that, forget about it? we're still who we are. I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth. You
No,
understand?
yeah.
But what is the players thinking psychologically on that one?
Yeah, I mean, when we lose, we kind of know what we did wrong. It's not something where, oh my gosh, we know what happened. We came out flat. They jumped on us, and we were playing catch up the rest of the game. And things like that are going to happen, but we just have to minimize it happening. So for us, it's just coming back next week against Minnesota and must win. Then following that next week against Baltimore and another must win. So we'll see how everything kind of plays out.
The dynamic between you and Ben Jarvis has been good all year. Just what's it been like having him as a teammate, and what have you learned off of him as far as stuff that you could add to your game?
Definitely. I think for the people that have a chance to talk to Benny, they know he doesn't talk too much. He's more of a reserved kind of guy. He's more laid back, and he's really opened up throughout the season. Really, me kind of getting to know him. So I've learned a lot just by watching what he does, kind of understanding how a veteran plays. He's been a guy that's been in the league for a number of years. He's played on a great team like the Patriots, and he understands that championship feel. And if I can just keep, learning off of him, kind of, bird feeding off of him, I think my career could kind of extend itself.
Did you expect to have this big of an impact so early in your career?
I'm not going to say that, that I doubted myself, but I think for me, it's just I was put into a good position. I was getting great, I was put into a great offense, and Coach Gruden does a really good job of kind of using my skills and kind of using it into the offense. And he not only, just throws me in there and just expects me to do whatever, but he puts me into the right position and kind of really helps me out. So,
You talked to us when you got drafted about your dad and about how he almost missed you getting drafted because he was still working. And that sort of kind of defines him in a lot of ways. It's been his thing. Has he been able to get to any games or watch any of them at this point? Because you were saying you didn't even know how many he would watch because he'd be too busy working.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's times when we had the game in Miami, he went straight from work to the game. He didn't go tailgating. He didn't do any of that stuff. He wasn't around the family. He kind of just went by himself, kind of just because he's working so much. And that's just the mentality of my dad. He's just always been like that, and I can only wish to become like a dad like him, just because he's raised two boys by himself, and he's just a tremendous guy.
He worked at the dry cleaners, though, right? Did you ever go in there and help? I mean, were you helping out in the dry cleaners? Look at running. You had to run in between all the stuff going on back there. Maybe you got your moves that way.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how I kind of created, my jukes or whatever. But it's dead hot in those places. Like, I mean, if anybody has ever been into a dry cleaners in the back where they're doing all the pressing and stuff, it is dead hot. And I think that's how I kind of was able to play in South Florida and not really get too tired. So,
You have had a compelling life. It's a movie of the week kind of story. For those who don't know it, your mom passed away when you were 8, 9?
7.
7, okay. Thyroid cancer, right? The family took a bit of a tumble at that point. Moved into a place in Fort Lauderdale, not that nice. Your brother was quoted as saying in a story that the Xbox died because a rat ate the cord.
Yep.
That's how dicey it was. My question to you, Gio, is that life experience, did it have any impact on the football player that you've become?
Of course, and I don't consider myself just a football player. I consider myself a person that's just trying to make it in life, whatever that is. Whether if it's through the field, whether if it's just communicating with the younger guys out there, everybody's going to go through obstacles. Everybody has speed bumps. Everybody has been through a number of troubles in their life, and it's just a matter of overcoming them. And I'm just another testimony, another testament to show that people can make it out of hardships and hard times in life. And I just want everybody out there to know that. And yeah,
very good.
You went to Fort Lauderdale, St. Thomas Aquinas, one of the top football programs in Florida, but also probably one of the top private schools in the state. Just how much did that help you with your football skills, but also just in general in life? Oh
yeah, going to a school like that, the teachers, they're not only just teachers, they're really just preparing you for life. It's not just the academic aspect, but they really try to prepare you for life. And we got a guy, that went to my school, Gino Atkins went to there, and he graduated when I was in 8th grade, so I didn't have the chance to play with him. But you can just see the amount of players, that have been there and that have made it to the next level, and then, keep continuing to play in the NFL. But that school, it's given me so many opportunities, and it's really been one of the reasons why I've been able to make it here.
I want to talk about a former coach, Chris Carter. Do you still keep in contact with him, and what are some things that he had taught you?
Yeah, I've known Coach Carter since I was probably like 8 or 9, very young when I started playing Pee Wee football, and I played with his son Duran, and Duran's actually playing in Montreal right now in the Canadian Football League. But I continue to keep in touch. He always gives me a shout out on ESPN, saying just kind of helping me out on that side. But he's a guy that I've definitely been able to learn a lot after, and he's helped me a lot.
Has he ever said to you, "Come on, man"?
That is something that he actually really does a lot. When he was coaching, there's been plenty of stories, but when he was coaching, at my high school at St. Thomas, he was a receivers coach, and when he gets fired up, he's not a force to be reckoned with. You do not want to mess with him when he is ticked off or anything. So.
Your brother, you're very close with your brother, who's about 8 years older than you, I believe, and he went to Oregon State, played there, and then ended up bouncing around the league a little bit, and then ended up in the CFL as well. And he's been a huge inspiration to you for stuff you've told us before. What's some of the best piece of advice he's ever given to you?
Just continuing to tread and just kind of not worry about things that you can't control. There's been a bunch of stuff, but anybody that has a brother, has a sibling, understands what that older sibling means to them. Whether that's a sister or a brother, you're not gonna. They're like a role model. They're a person you definitely look after. They're a person that's gonna give you hard times here and there, but they're always looking for the best for you, and that's all they're trying to do. You
run a lot like him as well. You pick up a lot of your moves from just watching him when you were younger.
Yeah, he always says, we do really run alike, but he always says I was faster than him. I think, one of the reasons why was because I was able to work with Coach Carter and then his speed program. He had a speed program in Florida a number of years ago, but I was able to get into that and kind of work on my speed at a younger age, so it definitely helped.
Every running back has his own unique style. I think I described Ben Jarvis the other week as running like a brick through a window. How would you describe your style?
I've heard the comparisons of, a slasher, a person that's not, not going to avoid a hit, but is going to try to find a way out of it. But for me, I don't have a specific way. I don't compare myself to a specific person. I'm just a person that's just trying to play tough. Just whatever the situation is, they could throw me in there and just help.
Do you deliberately get as close to blockers as you can? For the simple fact that if you get behind 6'7" Andrew Whitworth, you're very hard to see.
Yeah, my height definitely helps me out.
Yeah,
it definitely helps me out. Kind of, guys are around like Whit. And Andre. Guys around like that. It definitely helps me out. Just kind of maneuvering through. So.
You're probably one of the contenders for NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. Your stats, I think, second as far as yards from scrimmage. Do you look at Eddie Lacy, Monte Ball, all those guys' stats, and Keenan Allen, and just kind of judge yourself where you are in regards to this draft class?
No, not really. Those guys they're in a different system than I am. And I'm not going to say, they don't split time or whatever it is, whatever it may be. But, for me, I can't worry about that. We have so much other stuff going on, on our side of the ball that we're trying to get right. And for me, my goal is not to win all the awards. It's for the team to do well. Everybody here, everybody in Cincinnati just wants the Bengals to do well, and that's all I can hope for.
You said in an interview in 2010 when you tore your ACL, it taught you a lot. What did it teach you?
Just keep working. You're going to go through those tough times. And I could definitely say that was one of the periods of my, one of the lower points in my life. And going through something like that, going to North Carolina, not really knowing anybody, your freshman year in college, third day of training camp, tear your ACL, then you have to go to class on crutches. It wasn't fun, but it happens. Things like that happen. It makes you a bigger person and gets you rolling.
Well, we are certainly not done with Giovani Bernard here. We've got plenty more time to come. We are going to take a little bit of break. We're going to come back, talk more with Gio. Joe and I are going to yell at each other a little bit with a little bit of debate action. And I think a little bit later, Doc and Gio are going to have a little one-on-one on the hot seat. And we hope that doesn't go too terribly. So we'll be right back here on Beyond the Stripes, presented by JosephAuto.com.
Chris, how you doing?
Hey, what's happening? This place looks awesome. Brand new showroom, brand new service department. Now all I need is a new caddy. And I'm thinking the North American Car of the Year, the ATS right here. What do you think?
Nice car, Chris, and only $299 a month. But a guy your size, you need the comfort, the technology that this car has. The XTS for only $399 a month.
For $100 more, I can do this?
$100.
I'll win that from you on the golf course. Come on, let's do it.
Compliments of Camargo Cadillac.
Where should we go to eat tonight?
How are the Reds doing?
What time does the movie start?
Did you hear about the new Bengals
Check
player?
out this photo gallery.
Did you check out the bands coming to
I
the
sure
summer
did.
Jam?
That's the story.
She wore what?
If you don't read the Inquirer at Cincinnati.com, you're missing out on what everyone's talking about. Breaking news, the best local events calendar, and in-depth stories. Updated all day long. Subscribe now at Cincinnati.com/subscribe. The Inquirer at Cincinnati.com. It's what everyone's talking about.
The Moerlein Lager House is Cincinnati's premier brew pub. The restaurant features impressive lunch and dinner menus, as well as a wide selection of beer and other drinks. The Lager House is also proud to continue Cincinnati's brewing heritage by brewing their own fresh craft beer on site. Conveniently located along the riverfront, the Moerlein Lager House offers spectacular views while you dine. Moerlein Lager House. Celebrate the past, taste the future.
All right, welcome back to Cincinnati.com Sports Beyond the Stripes of Paul Daugherty, presented by JosephAuto.com. We're still here with Giovani Bernard. Moerlein Lager House is here for Giovani Bernard being with us tonight. So, in the locker room the other day, I was talking with Vontaze Burfict, and somehow we started talking about playing Madden. And he said that he never played with the Steelers or James Harrison because James Harrison was too slow on that. And he started talking about how he always played with the Broncos. He would play safety as Steve Atwater. You play Madden, I'm assuming?
No, I actually don't.
You don't play Madden? You may be the only player in the locker room that does not play Madden.
I'm more of a FIFA guy. I don't know. I just like FIFA.
You're outside of the boat. You have to be different.
Yeah.
So you've never even had an opportunity to play a video game as yourself.
No, I mean I've seen it. I've heard guys say. I mean Carlos Dunlap is one of the guys that's obsessed with Madden. Every single day I feel like he talks about it, and he's always like, "Yo, I rushed with you, 20 times for like 300 yards." I'm like, "All right, sweet."
Yeah, I would love to see what it feels like to actually make a juke move with yourself. I mean, I can't. You have to go to Carlos for that, though.
Yeah, I will.
That just kind of shot your whole line of questions.
I did. It killed me. I got nothing left.
You got
The
nothing.
whole piece of paper's gone.
You got nothing. Lindsay needs to bail you out.
Absolutely.
This
happens all the time.
I will bail him out. What's it like being compared to Barry Sanders, and how many times a day do you hear that?
It's something I've been, not only Barry, but Ray Rice. I mean, those two guys I've heard a lot about. And one, Barry Sanders, I mean, you hear his name, you think of, a phenomenal Hall of Famer guy, a guy that's, didn't have much in front of him in terms of offensive line, but was still able to turn out amazing yards. And a guy like Ray Rice, a guy that's been doing it for years, a guy that's, a smaller guy like Barry and I, and but just still been able to really do a really good job.
NFL rookies, it's kind of like you're living 2 seasons in one with the combine draft process, acclimating everything. It's December. How you feeling?
Yeah, it's tough. I'm going to be honest. It is a very long period of time going from finishing up your college season and then going straight into training and then, training for the combine, then going to the combine, training for your pro day, going to your pro day, then getting drafted, and a bunch of other stuff after that. And it's definitely a grind. And for rookies, the preseason is really like a regular season for us. We get a lot of carries during those times, and we get a lot of playing time. So we don't really take those opportunities for granted during the preseason.
Do you worry as a quote unquote smaller guy that your career will end maybe sooner than a bigger back because of the hits you take at your size? And in that vein, do you appreciate the fact that they kind of spot you the way they do?
Well, I'm not gonna say smaller guys' careers are shorter than bigger guys. I would say it's almost the opposite, really.
Okay.
The smaller guys, they're able to maneuver. They're able to make guys miss more. They run out of bounds a little bit more and kind of protect themselves. So I'm not gonna say my career is gonna be short just because I'm smaller, but I've been able to stay up with my health, just kind of eating right. Just taking care of your body, ice tub, and just the football type stuff that you want to.
How different does an NFL game feel the next day than a college game does for you as a running back? How different is the actual aches and pains and the punishment that you take?
Well, honestly, I actually feel a little bit better compared to college, just because during college I was getting 20 plus carries plus 8 or 9 catches out of the backfield. That's about 30 or so touches per game. And, here I'm getting, maybe 13, 14 carries plus, 5 or 6 catches. So I'm definitely not getting hit as much, number one. But the hits are definitely harder up here, of course. But I'm not going to say I feel, more at pain just because, they're hitting harder, I think.
I just want to talk about a former teammate, James White, a former friend of yours. Talk about your relationship just a little bit.
Yeah, me and James, Wisconsin running back right now. He's getting ready for his bowl game. I think they play against South Carolina. But a guy that we're basically brothers. I don't consider myself to only have my real blood brother, but I consider him to be my brother. And his family really took me in my junior and senior year in high school. We played baseball against each other at a point. Played football against each other. Then we were able to be teammates on both those sports. So it was kind of cool to kind of see ourselves grow up together. And he's a guy that I definitely look up to, and a guy that we're always going to be close.
In terms of North Carolina, because when you came in, that was a program still in transition from Butch Davis to Coach Fedora. But how much of an impact did Coach Fedora have on you? Because not many people know the offensive input, the offensive mind that he is.
Yeah, Coach Fedora, he is a spread type of mentality type of guy. And when I went to North Carolina, I actually got recruited by Butch. So I was there for 2 seasons really under Butch. Butch left after my first year, we interim coach, but we still had the same offense. So we ran a pro style my first year. Then we went to that spread my last year. So I was able to kind of play in 2 different offenses, really. And I think that kind of helped me out in the draft process, just because I was able to, to run in between tackles like the, normal pro-style offense does, and I'm able to catch the ball in a spread type of offense as well. So.
All right, well, it is about that time in the show where we say thank you to Gio, but you're not going anywhere. You just get to observe Reedy and I just yell at each other for really no apparent reason. We don't even know why. We just do this just to amuse ourselves at this point. So we've got 3 topics for tonight.
Bring them.
One that's a little. I think this one could get a little interesting. I think it might get a little heated. We'll start first. Sunday, New England plays Baltimore. If you're a Bengals fan, who should you be rooting for?
Well, other than the stadium to blow up, which can't happen, I'm rooting for New England, because Bengals win, Baltimore loss, you clinch a division. You know that. It's a postseason spot. It's an absolute. Do you lose possibly the 2 seed in the first round bye? Yes, so be it. But at least you know you're in the postseason. You're in the tournament. You look at the past couple teams, what Green Bay did. Baltimore last year, a 3rd seed. They won the Super Bowl. So you root for New England so you can clinch that spot.
See, I expect that out of you because you're conservative. Let's play it safe. Let's not go for the high risk reward. That's what I would expect. You know what? You want Baltimore to win. You know why? Because you want that 2 seed. Because you see that beautiful path to the Super Bowl that could be out there. You got to have enough confidence in yourself as a team that you're going to go out and win 2 times in a row. You love the idea of Baltimore coming here with everything to play for to beat them and then grab that number 2 seed. The high risk, high reward, the risk taker, that's the one that goes for Baltimore to win. So I think that's actually probably a fitting response from you, Joe, Mr. Conservative. Mr. 3 yards in a cloud of dust, Browns mud football from the 1950s.
Also Ohio State, Paul. Don't forget
Oh, sorry,
that.
I also forgot that.
I'm also a big fan of the Wishbone, Oklahoma, Nebraska.
Yes.
I love the wing T.
And that's actually a perfect segue into our second question. We touched on this a little bit earlier, but with Gio here, with Adrian Peterson coming to town this weekend, best running back of all time. Who you got?
It's not even a question. It's Jim Brown.
Right.
The greatest of all time. The 8-9 years, the body of work, how he revolutionized the game. Heck, if Jim Brown could have played lacrosse out there and batted heads, he would have. And heck, look at his acting, The Dirty Dozen. One of the great films of the 1960s.
You're wheeling The Dirty Dozen out?
I'm wheeling The Dirty Dozen.
Wow.
That's why he retired, I might mind you. Greatest running back of all time. He could play today. He could play in any era.
Well, that's all nice. You know, revolutionizing the game, I'm sorry. I give no credit for revolutionizing the game. Jerry West revolutionized basketball, but I still think Michael Jordan would beat him 21-0, okay, in a game of one-on-one. I don't think it's any question. Barry Sanders has done things on the football field that no other running back has ever done. 15,269 yards. Do I need to remind you? I think my point is proven on the list of quarterbacks that played next to Barry Sanders. Scott Mitchell. Bengals fans remember Scott Mitchell at all? If you don't, maybe you remember Gus Frerotte, who also was his quarterback. Charlie Batch, Rodney Peete, Eric Kramer, and the guy still had a 2,000-yard season.
Eric Kramer led him to a playoff win.
Who cares? It was unbelievable, the stuff that he did. They didn't even have the playoffs when Jim Brown played. You had the AFL championship. That doesn't count. The Super Bowl is the only thing that counts, and you couldn't even win one when Jim Brown played. That's how old your reference is right now.
Sam Huff, L.C. Greenwood would have split Barry Sanders in 2.
You just rolled out Sam Huff and L.C. Greenwood on me. Let's move forward. Minnesota coming to town. The question is, there's a lot of great musicians from Minnesota. So who is the top musician from Minnesota? Who you got?
The pride of Duluth. He's still singing now. He's still spinning albums like they're in tune. Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
The times they are a-changin'.
Oh, he's going to reel
Are you
off the
gonna sing?
discography here.
Huh?
Are you going to sing?
I can't break out.
You might sound a little bit like Bob
I might
Dylan.
be doing a Christmas Carol concert here next week, so I'll save the golden pipes.
That's fine. You know what? Bob Dylan, I'm sure you love Bob Dylan, Doc. You're an old guy.
I do.
I mean, he's lovable. I'm a party guy, though. I like to go out and have fun. Give me some Prince. Let's go have a good time, you know? A little Kiss, a little When Doves Cry, a little 1999. I want to have a good time when I'm listening to music. I appreciate the artistry and everything that he has to offer, but I'm here to have a good time and listen to music. That's why I'm going with Prince. You can have Bob Dylan in your easy chair, sitting back, waxing philosophical about life all you want. Are we good with that? You give me the win.
Yeah, Prince, he's a real young man these days, let me tell you.
It's not a matter of old or young. It's just a matter of having a good time. When
No,
we
I
listen to
disagree
music.
with that. You're asking for my opinions on
I'm
these?
asking for your.
The first one, the who plays whom, I don't care.
We know that.
I don't care about that, so throw that one out. The next one, Jim Brown is football. Jim Brown, when you think NFL running back, people of a certain age, of course.
Right.
Jim freaking Brown.
You
No
weren't
question.
amazed by Barry Sanders?
I was, but Jim Brown is who I think of when I think of NFL running back. You know, John Facenda in the chill of Cleveland Stadium. Jim Brown got the football. You don't know what I'm talking
I don't
about, do you?
remember that either.
None. I have no idea. So Reedy wins hands down, brother. Sorry.
That's fine. I got no problem with that. I'll stand with Barry Sanders all day, every day. Gio, I know you're with me on that, so we're gonna go ahead and agree.
You didn't even ask him. How do you know?
He just gave me the nod. I know it's all good. That's right. So anyway, you're going to come back. You're going to have plenty of questions. We're putting Giovani Bernard on Doc's hot seat. He's going to try and light him up a little bit. But we'll also hear some beautiful words. You're going to wax poetic for us as well. It's going to be lovely.
Yeah.
So we'll be right back with all of that here on Beyond the Stripe, presented by JosephAuto.com.
Do not, I repeat, do not buy a 2013 Chevy from another dealer. Not when you can get a 2014 from Joseph Chevrolet for the same price or less. Seriously, Joseph Chevrolet's 2014s are a better deal than anyone else's 2013s. $129 a month for a new Cruise? Up to $6,500 off a 2014 Silverado? Now that's a clearance sale. Don't pay more for a 2013 than a 2014. Come to Joseph Chevrolet now.
Uncle Ray.
Where should we go to eat tonight?
How are the Reds doing?
What time does the movie start?
Did you hear about the new Bengals
Check
player?
out this photo gallery.
Did you check out the
I
bands
follow.
coming to the
sure
show?
did.
That's the story.
Sure, what?
If you don't read the Inquirer at Cincinnati.com, you're missing out on what everyone's talking about. Breaking news, the best local events calendar, and in-depth stories. Updated all day long. Subscribe now at Cincinnati.com/subscribe. The Inquirer at Cincinnati.com. It's what everyone's talking about.
Welcome back. You know, there was a lot of moaning after the loss Sunday night, and it was understandable. Pittsburgh had stolen the Bengals' lunch money again and broken Kevin Hubert's jaw. But here's the one consistent thing you can say about the NFL. What happens this week has no bearing on what happens next week. How do you think they were feeling on Sunday night in New Orleans? What about Dallas? Sunday isn't, any given Sunday isn't just a saying in the NFL, it's reality. I think this Bengals team is mature enough and confident enough in itself to blow off what happened Sunday night, come back and win its last two. In other words, the only thing bruised by Sunday night's embarrassment was the city's collective sports ego. If you want to worry, concern yourself with a sudden lack of tackling and the notion that finally all the injuries could be taking their toll on this defense. Don't sweat the team's toughness, though. They just had a bad game. This is the NFL, and bad games happen. Guys?
Thank you, Doc. Appreciate that. And the thing is, though, bouncing back in the NFL is not easy, particularly a Minnesota team that is looking a lot better than I think any of us anticipated, Lindsay. I mean, a month and a half ago, this was looking like the cakewalk win. But right now, a team over the last 4 games, 2 wins, a loss, and a tie, but they've been right there. They went to Baltimore, and really, you can argue should have won that game.
You can argue they're the best, playing the best in their division right now. And I know that sounds insane, but they are. This whole season, the Vikings have had a different guy, 3 different quarterbacks this whole entire season. So to do what they've been able to do with a lot of the injuries they have faced too, with Adrian Peterson out too in several games this season, it's not going to be an easy game.
There are very few in the NFL, but Matt Castle has this team playing a little more consistently at least.
Yeah, but also when you look at Minnesota's defense, Paul, I think they're 30th in the league. Pass defense pretty low. Run defense pretty low. So offensively, they should have an advantage. First bad game this team played this year, week 4 at Cleveland. The next week, New England was here. They won without Leon Hall and with a couple injuries. So I've got no fear whatsoever about this team bouncing back.
You're right. You could argue that New England game may be the best game they've played all year when you consider the opponent and what that defense did. All right, Doc, you got the hot seat ready? Have you warmed it up?
We do have the hot seat. It's not as bad as you'd think. Do you remember? You don't remember the hot seat, do you? On ESPN?
I've heard about it.
All right. See all these young guys. I asked our guest last week the same thing. Dre had no idea. What hot seat? Well, this is the hot seat, Cincinnati style. First question. Who on your own team would you least like to be tackled by?
Vontez.
Why?
Because he's tackled me before and it hurt.
Very good. In terms of your running style, Gio, would you say you're more like a missile in the fog or a wet bar of soap? See, these are probing questions, my man. You got to think hard on this.
Probably a slippery soap. Is that
A wet bar of soap.
Wet bar of soap.
All right. Can you dunk a basketball?
I could touch the rim.
Have you tried to dunk a basketball?
Yes.
And you almost got there.
Almost.
You ever heard of Spud Webb?
Yep.
5'6". Won the dunk contest at the All-Star game one year.
Yeah.
Does he inspire you?
Yeah.
Do you get carded in nightclubs?
Carded. Oh, as 21?
Yeah.
I don't really go to nightclubs like that.
Good answer. Marvin watches this show. Is it hard to find off-the-rack clothes for a guy like you who is almost as wide as he is tall?
That's why I have to buy stuff that makes my arms look huge. That's why I have this jacket on, because this shirt's actually too small for me.
Is that right? I mean, so it's a serious concern.
Definitely is.
Always been. Now you might be able to afford to get some stuff tailored, and
yeah.
You're not a tailor guy?
No.
All right, but it is kind of hard to find.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where do you go to get clothes? We'll give them a plug.
H&M.
H&M.
That's about it. Macy's.
Yeah. Macy's. They have stuff that fits you. Okay. All right. You went to North Carolina. If you were playing Michael Jordan in one-on-one, by ones to 11, make it, take it, how many points would he have to spot you for you to win that game?
I would honestly just sit down on a chair and just watch him play by himself.
That's not an answer.
I would just
That's
watch
not an
him.
answer.
He is unreal. I would just watch him play.
All right. I say Duke University. You say
poop.
Who? He said who? I like that. We had Vinny Ray on a couple of weeks ago, and I asked him that. He said, if I said to you in North Carolina, what would you say? Duke graduate Vinny Ray said, average. You ever get on Vinny Ray about that? About the rivalry?
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't anymore. They beat us.
No,
so.
you really can't. You got to lay low. What would be worse, losing to Duke in football or having Andrew Whitworth sit on you?
Ooh. Probably having a Whit sit on me. Well, actually, there's been a couple times he's blocked, and then just so happened that he fell or tripped or something and landed on top of me. So probably Duke losing.
Yeah,
I go with Duke losing.
6'7", 340. What does that feel like landing on top of you?
Well, plus 3 or 4 other guys on top of me, so it never feels good.
Yeah. When was the last time you cried?
Last time I cried, my brother's wedding.
Really?
Yep.
How long ago was that?
June, I don't know, July.
Okay. I asked that question of a lot of football players, rough, tough, big-time guys. It's always interesting to me. When you lived in Boca as a kid, did you ever go to Pete Rose's Ballpark Cafe?
Yes, I did.
You did? How about that, ladies and gentlemen? And what did you order there?
I just usually just got wings. But my dad and my brother, if the games aren't on, I think they still have a Pete Rose's in Boynton Beach, Florida.
Okay.
That they'll go to and actually watch some of the games. So.
Did you ever meet Pete?
No.
Did you ever want to meet Pete Rose?
Yeah.
Huh?
I never thought about it.
Didn't really care.
No.
Made no. The all-time the hit king.
wings.
That's a bad answer in Cincinnati, my friend.
I think I just wanted the chicken wings.
I got you. All right, you are off the Beyond the Stripes hot seat. Thank you very much for participating.
Giovani Bernard, ladies and gentlemen, handling it. Handled you very well, Doc.
Yeah, I got to get better questions next time. I'm gonna be like Mike Wallace, maybe. Not the receiver. Never mind. Forget it.
Another old guy name.
Guy,
how many old guy names are we gonna be rolling out here?
I'm sorry, man.
Doc, we appreciate it.
Right.
Well, and we want to remind everybody that's been coming out, especially our regulars we have every week. Monday, the next 2 weeks due to the holiday. So every Monday, the next 2 weeks, 7 o'clock, we'll be right here. Next week, Wallace Gilberry will be our guest here at Beyond the Stripes. Make sure you come out for that. Make sure you watch this show. We're at Cincinnati.com. Make sure you get the Bengals app. Watch us on your tablet. Come check out the blog. We'll have all your reaction from Sunday's game up there on the website and on the paper. Hopefully, keep buying newspapers, people. They're very important. At Inquirer Doc, at Joe Reedy, at Lindsey Patterson, at Paul Daugherty Jr. Make sure you follow us. We'll be back next week on Beyond the Stripes, presented by JoeSpotto.com.